The Super Bowl is this weekend. And even though I'm Fight Foods Ange and I'm about to give you an Underdog Fantasy entry for UFC 312, it is very important to note that the Super Bowl is this weekend, because when the Super Bowl's here, out come all the promos and the free squares. Underdog Fantasy is giving you all sorts of free options when it comes to the big game on Sunday, which means when I give you an entry for Saturday, all you have to do is add Travis Kelce here to get more than a half a yard, and you can make some very real money. And it doesn't take a football genius to know that Taylor Swift's boyfriend is going to get at least more than a half of a yard. All of this is very important because not only are they going to give you a free square, Underdog Fantasy will give you free money to play. The only thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/underdog, use promo code WWP, and the free money starts flowing in. That's wewantpicks.com/underdog, promo code WWP. We've gotten the free square out of the way with the higher on Travis Kelce with a half of a yard. So now let's move over to MMA. My recommendation to you would be find one line that you are positive in, add the Travis Kelce piece, let you max it out, and then build yourself a larger, more risky but higher payout type line. And I'm going to go ahead and give you what I have done for UFC 312. Right off the rip, we're going to look at the main event, both sides of it. That is why I like Underdog Fantasy more than some of the other products in this space, because they have more total lines and they don't prevent you from doing both sides of it. So we're going to have a little bit of action here on Sean Strickland to get higher than 120.5 significant strikes. If I take 5 seconds and we look at Sean Strickland's recent fights, he landed 182 against Paulo Costa. He landed 173 in his first fight with Dricus, 137 with Israel Adesanya, 182 against Nasruddin Imavov, 152 against Jared Cannonier, 153 against Jack Hermanson, 186 against Uriah Hall. And you're seeing a trend here. Sean Strickland gets those numbers up. 120 seems like it's a very high number, but if history tells us anything, it's that Sean Strickland will land more than 120 significant strikes. I'm also going to grab Dricus here, and we're going to do higher on his takedown line. His takedown line is 3.5. And while that seems like a high number, let me remind you, he just took down Israel Adesanya 4 times. He took down Sean Strickland 6 times in that fight. When he fought Darren Till, he took him down 6 times in that fight. This is a rematch. If this fight is almost what the last fight was, we're going to get way more than 3.5 takedowns here. We'll get to the 4, and that's all we're going to need. Let's continue to build our entry here. I'm going to work my way down. There's a lot of lines here that I like, and then I get a little nervous about. The Weili fight is interesting because on one hand, I do think she wins. She's the long reigning champion, or at least if you include when she lost and then came back and won it. But she's an established entity in this division. She is fighting the best wrestler she has ever fought. And this fight could go a bunch of different ways. So I am going to leave it alone. You could say lower than a half a finish if you don't think she'll finish Tatiana Suarez. And I don't think she'll finish Tatiana. So I was hovering over that. But ultimately, I didn't pull the trigger because we'll see what happens. Tatiana can barely get to a decision. She's so dominant. And she may end up in a situation in this fight where she is on the losing end. Things do get tough. She's in deep water and it doesn't go her way, and it ultimately ends up with her being finished. The lower on a finish line, I am going to do one here and I'll show it to you. The lower on a finish line is nice in some instances because that accounts for your fighter winning by decision and your fighter flat out losing anyway. But we're going to do that a little bit later. And when I say a little bit later, I mean right now. We're doing lower on Jake Matthews. Lower on half a finish for Jake Matthews. Essentially what this means is if Jake Matthews wins or loses a decision, it's okay. It doesn't matter. The line hit. If Jake Matthews gets finished by Francisco Prado, it's okay. The line hit. The only way we lose this is if Jake Matthews finishes Francisco Prado. I do not see that happening. Jake Matthews isn't exactly a finisher. Francisco Prado's a tough, durable guy. The lower, obviously they've reduced the payout there, but I am pretty confident in that. And the last line we're going to add here is going to be Thomas Nolan. Tom Nolan is going to be in a mostly striking matchup. He's fighting Vyacheslav Borchev, a striker through and through. And Tom Nolan only needs to get to 39 significant strikes for this line to hit. If we take a look at Tom Nolan's fight history and what he's done in this sport, Tom Nolan's gotten past that line many, many times. He did it in his last fight against Alec Reyes. He's done it many times before that. His fight before the Alex Reyes fight, he almost got to that line. It was a first-round finish. In a first-round finish, he landed 33 significant strikes. I don't think he's finishing Borshev in the first round here. I think we're getting a discount on his strike line because of some of his previous fights and how quickly he finished people. As that level of competition goes up, the fights will go longer, more strikes will be landed. I think Tom Nolan cruises past 39 significant strikes. This is my entry. There was not a lot of stuff here that I was confident in outside of these 4 lines. Go ahead and make it 5 by adding the Travis Kelce here, and we'll go ahead and we'll just recap it for you. If I take a look at the entry that I have built, we've got Sean Strickland higher than 120.5 significant strikes. Tom Nolan higher than 38.5 significant strikes. We have Jake Matthews lower than a half a finish, and Dricus du Plessis higher than 3.5 takedowns. That's my entry. Again, don't forget to add the free square from the Super Bowl. And don't forget to get your free money. You can do all of this for basically nothing. Go to WeWantPicks.com/underdog. Use promo code WWP, and you can get offers, all sorts of free money. Take that, build an entry, run with it, and have some fun. WeWantPicks.com/underdog. Good luck this weekend.